I heard that you guys are romanticizing the people that hurt you. I mean, I kept romanticizing studying and all, but this? It's okay. I did it too. Romanticizing the person who hurt you is the act of filtering out the reality of their character and replacing it with the potential of who you wanted them to be. It's when your brain creates a highlighted reel of the 5% good times just to justify the 95% chaos. If you are currently holding on to a version of someone that does not exist, this video should be your wake-up call and a roadmap to actually letting them go. Hi guys, welcome back to the Thezavverse. This is a universe where we heal from our pain, trust our intuition, and turn our trauma into power. Let's get into this video. To stop romanticizing a person, you need to actually know what exactly is romanticizing. Romanticizing is idealizing an unrealistic situation, making it seem better than it actually is. If you have to constantly remember the good times just to justify the present pain, then that's not love. That's trauma dressed in nostalgia. That's why romanticizing is so dangerous, because it literally distorts reality. It traps you in a constant cycle. You abandon yourself for them again and again and again. Replaying the good parts is emotional self-harm, because you're choosing to relive the most comforting scenes while ignoring the chapters that crushed you, which in turn delays your healing. You can romanticize someone so much to the point that even when they hurt you so terribly, you still stay. Because you have romanticized that pain that hurts so much, and then those people take advantage of you staying because they know that no matter how many times they hurt you, you're still gonna stay. But honey, you're the one allowing that. You're the one allowing them to hurt you. You're the one who's to blame here, not them, because you are giving them chances after chances to hurt you. If you do not see changed behavior, you are not to allow that person back into your life. Romanticizing is so unhealthy because you are letting these people treat you however they want to treat you. You're not setting your boundaries, you're not setting your standards, and you're just allowing toxic behavior, because that shows that you don't even care about yourself. That shows that you don't respect yourself. Because if a person really respected themselves, they would not allow that. They would set a boundary, they would set a standard, and if you cross that, you're out, you're done. I mean, I had to learn it the hard way. I kept on romanticizing people who hurt me so terribly that my brain was, I was not even myself. Oh my god, but they did not mean to hurt me. They knew it, and they chose to do it anyways. I mean, from a person who has hurt another person, I knew exactly what I was doing wrong, but that unhealed part of me chose to do that. But then I took accountability. I realized and I took accountability, and I'm not that person anymore. I don't identify as the person who hurt another person, because that is not me and the past does not exist. That happened, yes. If you are still that person without changing, I have hurt another person and I have been the one hurt. So I know exactly how it is to be on both the sides. But the difference between someone who repeatedly hurts you and someone who doesn't is that they change themselves. If you hurt another person, the difference between them and you can be is that you chose to change and you chose to not be that person who hurts another person anymore. Don't cage yourself up into the past version of yourself. You're not that person. Reasons that you may be romanticizing this person, it could be that this person is your comfort zone. They are familiar to you, very known to you, very close to you. That's why you refuse to see the fact that they are actually hurting you repeatedly. You're so comfortable with them being around you that your brain does not know how to survive when they're not there. And so when they repeatedly hurt you, you choose to keep them still because you don't know who you are if you remove them from your life. Our brains are always scared of change. So your brain is scared that if this person is not there, I don't know what's going to happen. So your brain always chooses comfort over change, over discomfort. Your brain's going to refuse to let go of that person. But you have to be stronger than that. The power is in your mind. You were still living when they were not in your life, right? you were still completely fine when they were not there. Now your brain has just gotten used to them being there, but before they weren't there and you were okay, you were living life. You can train your brain to live without them. To train your brain, it just takes repetition. When a person is with you in your most vulnerable time, you tend to not let go of them. Even though they hurt you now, but you only remember the part where they were there for you and they've seen you in your most vulnerable state, and that's why you choose to keep them in your life. You're trying to justify their actions just because they were there for you during your vulnerable time. Why are you justifying to keep them in your life? They saw you in that most vulnerable state, and now they're choosing to hurt you. So what is the point? Because they were the only one who made you feel something, even if it was just temporary. Oh, but he caught my feet. He cried and he begged me to stay. Of course he'll do that. He doesn't want to lose access to you. He literally feeds off of you. He likes how you make him feel. And now that you're taking back your energy and leaving him, of course he will beg you to stay. That is an energy vampire, honey. That's not the love of your life. You were with an energy vampire. He was sucking the energy out of you because your energy was the only thing that was keeping him going. Call all of your energy back from him. And when you see that person the next time, you're not even going to recognize them. When you call all your energy back, and then when you look at that person, you're going to be shocked. The only thing that was keeping you bonded to them was your energy. Another reason why you could be romanticizing a person is that you fell in love with their potential, not the reality. You saw who they could be, not who they consistently were. Your nervous system got so addicted to the highs and the lows that when they treated you like complete trash, you only remembered the highs. When I say that your nervous system is addicted to the highs and the lows, I mean when someone is occasionally nice but mostly hurtful. This creates a dopamine loop in your brain, similar to a gambling addiction. When someone is occasionally very nice to you, makes you feel very special, love bombs you, but other times they're hurtful to you and disrespect you, that creates a dopamine loop in your brain. You are addicted to that hit of validation, that they make you feel so special. So you only remember that part, that the time that they made you feel so special, ignoring the parts where they were mostly hurtful and disrespecting you. When you move from how do I make them love me to why am I okay with being treated this way, then you stop looking at the potential and start looking at the patterns, because potential is a lie. Patterns are the truth. Even 2 Corinthians 11 verse 14 reminds us that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Just because that person treats you very special occasionally, that doesn't mean that the person behind is aligned with your soul. Matthew 7 verse 16 says that you are going to know someone by their works. You will recognize them by their actions, by their works, not their words, not the hopes that you have for them, but by what they do, by the fruit of their actions. He can tell you he loves you. He can tell you that you are the most beautiful. Actions over words, always. So when a person is brought up in a chaotic household, they tend to attract that chaos in their relationships. And to them, a peaceful, healthy relationship seems boring because they were so familiar to the chaos while growing up. They were so familiar to the toxic environment in their household that even in their relationships, they try to find the similar vibe because that's just what their brain was familiar with. They were so immune to that chaos that they tend to attract the chaos in their relationships as well. A peaceful, healthy relationship is very boring to them because they have never seen that. So that is why it is so important to heal all of your childhood traumas, because your childhood sets the tone for your entire life. If you do not heal your childhood trauma, you're going to attract the same patterns in your relationships and friendships further in your adult life as well. You don't want to be alone. So romanticizing is a fantasy you build in order to survive loneliness. You wanted it to work so bad that you created a fantasy. You created that version of them. But honey, they were never that person. Oh, but he made me meet his mom. He never made any girl meet his mom. Does his mom know that he has 1,000 girls in his DMs? A guy will only pick a girl that is fit to be shown to the mother. So probably you were the good girl and you fit in the category that his mom would like. Girl, they didn't love you. They only loved the way you made them feel. They did not love you. They loved the idea of being in love with you because you gave him your all. You gave them everything. You gave away all your energy. You gave away all your time and effort. And that's what they liked. That's the feeling that they got addicted to. So they loved your availability, they loved your efforts, your time, your energy, but they did not love you. These people who hurt you have not dealt with their own traumas. And that is why they hurt other people. There's a quote that says, hurt people hurt people. And that is so true. A person who hurts you has not dealt with their own trauma, has not healed themselves. And that is why they hurt you. You start making excuses for them. You start saying that they are the way they are because of their trauma. Yes, that is true. They are the way they are because of their trauma. But you are not the savior. This is another thing. You have this savior complex where you want to save others. So it was this way with me. I have this savior complex where I want to like save another person because I'm very empathetic and I can feel on a very deeper level. I automatically felt where they were traumatized and I would want to fix them. I would want to fix them in order to distract myself from fixing my own self. I had this savior complex where I loved them, trying to excuse their cruelty for their trauma. So I thought I was making myself the therapist, but I was actually being their victim. I believe that if I loved them hard enough, that person that I created them to be in my head, that would show up in flesh. I excused all the bad behavior because I wanted to be gentle on them. I tried to justify their actions, saying that they've been through a lot. They've gone through a lot of trauma. That is why this is the way they are and they're hurting me. But I went through trauma as well. I went through a lot as well. If a person just tell others that that's just the way I am because that was done to me, then that's not a growth mindset at all. That's you choosing not to heal. That's you being cruel to others. Your trauma then costs another person. They become your victim if you do not choose to heal yourself. And that is not fair to them. They do not deserve that. Romanticizing can go so deep that even when the truth tries to show up in your sleep, you still try to make it poetic. I had dreams. For me, dreams play a very important part in my life. I get a lot of signs through dreams. I feel like God talks a lot to me through my dreams. I literally had dreams that this person had a multiple girls in his DMs. I can still picture the dream in which I saw the multiple DMs of girls. And it did not only happen once. I had this dream about 3 to 4 times. And I would even ask him. I was like, are you talking to a multiple girls? And he would say, no, like, what are you talking about? And then I would even joke about it just to get his reaction. I would just randomly say like, oh, but yeah, you have like multiple random girls just to get his reaction. And I got his reaction. Feminine intuition is so powerful. I just knew it. Like, I just knew it. Like the Lana Del Rey song, When You Know, You Know, using that in this scenario, when you know, you know. Like, I just knew. The reason I tried to push back those dreams was because in my first relationship, my ex told me that I would doubt and overthink a lot. So when this happened in my second relationship, I remembered what my ex told me in my first relationship, that You always doubt and overthink. So I pushed back those dreams. I did not give much importance to those dreams because I was like, oh, maybe I'm just doubting, maybe I'm just overthinking, maybe it's not like that. But when a dream happens repeatedly, when you have the same kind of dream in repetition, it is a sign. And all along, God was literally trying to give me a sign. It felt like God was literally trying to tell me that, girl, no, step away, step back. This is not it. A person is so smart in hiding all of these things that you can even have their phone and their passwords and everything, all their accounts and everything, and they're still not gonna get caught because they're so smart in hiding things. I had his phone, and I'm not even kidding. The exact same dream that I had, exact the way, like, I can still picture that dream, all those DMs, in reality, it was the same. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. The same dream, like when I held his phone and I saw all the random DMs of girls, I was like, dude, this is literally what I saw in my dream. Like, am I still dreaming? I was trying to, like, because I was so shocked and in so much of disbelief that I was like, this is a dream. This is the same dream that I've had. Like, this is just another one of those dreams that I've been having, like, wake up, but it was reality. It was happening, and my dream became real. My dream came out to be real, and I was so shocked. I couldn't even, I was like, oh my goodness, God had been trying to tell me all this while, and I was just pushing back those dreams, saying that, oh, I'm just overthinking, I'm just doubting. Like, it's not like that. He treats me so special. He does so much for me. He made me meet his mom. Stop saying, but we had good times. That should not be an excuse. Just because you spent 10 years in a relationship, it does not qualify you spending your entire life in that same relationship if it does not benefit you, if that person is hurting you. Just because you invested 10 years in that relationship does not mean that you cannot leave it right now if that person is not changing, if that person is repeatedly hurting you. You spend so much of time and energy on them that admitting that they are bad for you is like admitting that you failed. But you were never supposed to be responsible for their healing. You put in that time and energy out of your own love. You pouring into them is gonna leave you empty. I will only allow a person back into my life if I see changed behavior. If there's no changed behavior, and if the person repeatedly hurts me, you're out. You're out. Because I saw my mom giving my dad multiple chances, and he never changed. So that's a boundary that I set. I repeated that same pattern. I allowed a person to repeatedly hurt me until now I'm like, not again. Not again, Savory, not again. Be kind to yourself. Your inner child needs that love. I'm never gonna allow anyone to hurt me repeatedly, so terribly, ever again. Because my inner child does not deserve that. I do not deserve that. When you are so full of love and you give out so much of love, you do not deserve to be hurt repeatedly like that. I know you miss who they pretended to be, but they were never that person. So you don't really miss them. You just miss the version of them that you created in your head. But it's time to stop falling in love with potential. I want you to pick up a pen and a paper. Like, I have a diary, but you can pick up a paper and make a list of all the good things that they did and all the bad things that they did. If the list of their bad actions is longer than the one of their good actions, you know what you have to do. Also, write down to know the patterns. Write down when they are good to you, when they're being nice to you, and when they're treating you badly. Because I noticed this, that whenever the person would be extra nice to me, it would always be after they've done something wrong. So it's not necessary that it has to be the same for everyone else, but this is what I noticed, that this person would treat me more nicely after they've done something wrong, and just before I discovered that. And I also knew, I just knew it, that when they would go distant with me, they were probably seeing another person, and it turned out to be true. Romanticizing them is an illusion. So what it looks like is you having a selective memory. So you remember the way they looked at you in July, but you've forgotten how they silenced you in December. Like, you remember all the good parts, you remember the way they held your hand and they kissed your forehead, but you forget the way they yelled at you, you forget their disrespectful tone, and you only remember selectives. The way they danced with you, the way they twirled you around, the way they braided your hair. Romanticizing them fills the empty space. If you stop thinking about the dream version of them, you will have to face the loneliness of the real version of your current life, and that terrifies you. Romanticizing a toxic person is like you drinking poison, convinced that it's medicine just because the bottle is pretty. It keeps you in a waiting room for a life that is never coming. That is false hope. That is when a person repeatedly shows you who they really are and you're still denying that, hoping that no, maybe this is the last time that they've done it and they're not going to do it again. But that person is repeatedly showing you that they're not that version that you hope for them to be. They are repeatedly showing you that they're never going to be that person and you're still hoping. That is false hope. Why would you put yourself in that position where you have to be so cruel to yourself and allow that toxic behavior just because you're in hope that they are going to change? I was in so much hope that this person is going to change, but repeatedly, that person kept doing that. You only allow a person back into your life when you've seen changed behavior. If they're repeatedly doing the same thing again and again, you're allowing that toxic behavior to yourself. Why would you be so unfair to yourself? Haven't you been through enough? Hasn't your inner child been through enough already? Why would you be so unfair to yourself? To understand why we romanticize the people who hurt us, we have to look at how our brains work, how our brains process information. So according to psychology and neuroscience, we have a dual process theory. This means that we have two systems, two neural pathways for thinking. So system 1 is fast and intuitive. It's the emotional path. It operates in the amygdala and the limbic system. This is that part of your brain that remembers the highs, the deeply emotional scenes, the multiple texts, that long paragraph that he wrote you. It doesn't care about logic. It only cares about immediate survival and that dopamine. And when you're romanticizing someone, system 1 is in that driver's seat. It floods you with nostalgia to avoid the pain of loss. While system 2 is slower and analytical. It's the reasoning path, not the emotional one. It's the reasoning part. It lives in your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain. The pathway that relies on logic and evidence. The part of your brain that says, wait, that is actually disrespect. They're treating me very badly. System 2 takes a lot of energy to run. So when you're feeling very lonely, very stressed, very tired, system 2 shuts down and system 1 takes over. That is why when you are feeling very stressed or something, you want that person to be there with you. Despite the fact that they hurt you so badly, you want them with you because your system 1 is in control, the emotional part, not the one that deals with logic. You don't think at that time that, yeah, this person hurt me. But you're feeling so emotional and so stressed that you allow the person who hurt you, you allow them back in your life just because you long for that mood stabilization. Because you think that that person is gonna make you feel better, and you shut off the logical part where you know that that person hurt you. That is why you want that person to be with you at that time. Because your system too shuts down and your system one's in control. And you think that by allowing them back in your life, everything is gonna be fine. But it's not. And after a few days, they're gonna hurt you again. And then you're gonna feel bad. And you're gonna beat yourself up that why did I allow this person back into my life? Because at that time, you wanted to feel that dopamine, that mood to be stabilized. So you allowed them back in your life. But once that wears off and you are back into your logical brain, your CEO of your brain takes over, you're like, what did I do? How did I let this happen again? How did I allow this person back into my life when I decided that I would not because they hurt me? If that fast, that emotional part of your brain screams that you miss this person, you must manually activate the slow part, the logical part, the analytical part. And how you do that is when you miss who they pretended to be, you pull out a paper and a pen and you start writing down all their patterns, all the objective facts about the relationship. You write down all the times that they've treated you badly. You make a list of all the disrespect that they did to you. And those facts disrupt that dopamine loop. There comes a point where you have to stop calling pain love, where you stop romanticizing the one who hurt you. This video is that reminder. You don't need closure for someone who didn't even ever apologize. You don't need to fix something that was never real. Let them go. Choose peace. Choose you. Healing begins the moment you choose the truth over the story that you've told yourself. Tell yourself, yes, they hurt me, but that betrayal made me meet my power. I release the version of you I created in my head. I choose the cold truth over the warm lie. I'm worthy of a love that doesn't require me to ignore my intuition. I am worthy of being loved constantly, not just occasionally. If this video resonated with you, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps this message reach those who are stuck in a cycle, in that constant loop of allowing others to treat them like trash. It helps reach those who have romanticized people who have hurt them so terribly that they're stuck with not letting go of them because not letting go of them is unfamiliar to their brain. So guys, I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.